Now available in paperback and e-readers, Spellbound, A Darker Shade of Black. Get your copy today at your favorite online bookseller. Many of these black women out here have a concept in their mind that black men prefer white women over them. And this whole concept of believing that black men lust after white women, black men want relationships with white women, and that black men, if they had the chance, would choose a white woman over them, is not something that black men are thinking of at all. However, because this black woman is pretty much spellbound by this idea, it leaves her filled with insecurities and fears about having relationships with black men. And in order to understand this whole concept of why this black woman believes this idea that black men want white women, you have to go back to her frame of reference. And in that frame of reference, you understand that when it comes down to this Afro-American Negro female, she primarily deifies this white man. And because she deifies this white man and secretly desires to have a relationship with him, she projects that idea onto black men and then tries to use that idea to shame black men for having their own personal preferences for who they want to pursue relationships with. Because in her mind, she wants this white man, so she believes that most black men want that white woman. And also, when you look at this whole concept of this whole insecurity about black men and white women, you have to understand that this black woman also gets this idea from many of the propaganda put out here by white supremacists and white racists who also have insecurities about black men allegedly taking their women, which were perpetrated in numerous media outlets during Jim Crow and the slave era. So they made all this media, and as this black female imbibed this media and these ideas that were presented to her by her God, she began to believe it to be the gospel truth. And it's not the truth at all. When it comes down to most black men who do not deify this white woman pretty much want relationships with black women. And they would love to have relationships with black women. Unfortunately, many black men avoid black women because of the internal character issues many have. And these internal character issues are due to her deification of white men, her low self-esteem, her insecurities, and all of these internal character issues often turn decent black men away from black women that they would have wanted to have relationships with. And because they see her being insecure, being dysfunctional, and having a sour look on her face, and being argumentative, they say to themselves, this is just not worth my time, and my time is too precious to waste on a female who does not love herself, and I cannot convince her that she is lovable, attractive, or desirable. In the eyes of this Afro-American Negro woman, because her self-esteem is so low, she does not see herself as the best, so any black man she sees is always going to be seen as second best, because what she really wants is that white man that she deifies, and she sits there and then tries to project her insecurities about having that desire for that white man on black men, trying to shame them into believing they want white women. And yes, there are some out there, like the pro-blacks, who are in denial about their desire for white women, and the hoteps who are in denial about the desire for white women. But most black men like myself, we want relationships with black women. We wouldn't mind having relationships with black women. But again, it is the internal character issues that pretty much make us not want to pursue relationships with black women because, again, you cannot love someone who does not love themselves. You cannot show somebody love who does not love themselves. That is just a virtually impossible task. And when it comes down to relationships with this black female, you can't show her you love her. No matter how many times you try to show her, she just can't get it. It just doesn't register. And many men just say to themselves, it's just not worth the time to try to keep investing time in trying to show somebody love when all they have is self-hate. Because somebody who has filled with self-hate, you can never prove that you love them. You can never show them enough love because they cannot receive love. And that's another thing that's a big problem with your black woman. She pretty much puts up a wall in front of her, of any black man that tries to share with her, and that pretty much prevents him from connecting with her. And when you deal with this female, she again believes that this black man wants that white woman, and in many cases, again, that's not true because if we look at the marriage statistics, most black men out here go out here and marry black women. Most black men go out here and have relationships with black women, but the many of those relationships wind up failing due to her low self-esteem, her insecurities, and her feelings of inadequacy about herself. And because no man can convince her that she, no black man can convince her that she has value, she only sees value in whiteness. And again, this is manifested in her own behaviors when we see her out here bleaching her skin, sewing a white woman's hair into her head, and cutting off her own nose so that she can appear to emulate this white female, the same white female many black men have sat there and told her they want nothing to do with, and she'll sit there and tell you this is what you want. And because she's sitting here saying this, what happens is, in some cases, a lot of black men wind up walking away from her because, again, they can't deal with her insecurities. When you deal with an insecure person, it's just a chore. It's just a headache because there is no the more and nothing you can say can convince them of what they believe. And the more you try to say things to them to try to reassure them, the more of their insecurities get the better of them. And because they have these insecurities, what happens is your black female winds up sabotaging what could have been a great relationship and then gets mad at the man when the person she should be mad at is herself because she is the one with this idea in her head, and no matter what anyone does to present her evidence to refute that idea, she refuses to see the facts that are presented her as truth. Black men do not lust after white women in most cases. Black men do not desire relationships with white women in most cases. And in most cases, black men do not even care about the white women around them. Most guys will pay attention to the women who will pay attention to them, regardless of race. And if a female has enough confidence to go out here and pursue a relationship with a man, then he's going to take that opportunity to pursue a relationship with them. And the saddest part about this is that most black females don't understand this concept and how, there are 4 women for every 1 man. And if there are 4 women for every 1 man, that means the supply of women is greater than the supply of men. So the woman who goes out here and has the courage and the confidence and the self-confidence and the high self-esteem and goes out and approaches that man, her odds of having a relationship with that man are higher than that of the females who sit there who are insecure and waiting for the man to make the first move. Because when you have more women than men, women have to go out there and pretty much introduce themselves and let it be known what their intentions are. But your black female who believes that she is a queen and a goddess and has been inflated to a higher level of arrogance than she should be by all of these simp males, believes that men are supposed to come to her. But in a real marketplace, a woman who is in the marketplace with 3 or 4 other females, or in the case of the black community, 7 or 8 other females, has to introduce herself and state her intentions and has to show this man what she brings to the table. But when it comes down to your Afro-American Negro woman, she pretty much thinks that the man has to come to her, he has to cater to her, and that's all due to all the enabling by these simps, like these pro-blacks and these hoteps, and these other simps out here like the black pastor, who pretty much pander and cater to her instead of letting her see what the real social marketplace really is like. Because in a real social marketplace, when there is more supply than there is demand, the suppliers have to show the customer why they are better and what they bring to the table. And when it comes down to your black female, she thinks that she has a higher value than she actually does. And because of that, that she thinks that everybody has to cater to her, and then she also thinks that because that black men are just supposed to just sit there and cater to her, she then gets insecure when she sees them not paying her any attention. And because they're not paying her any attention, she gets those insecurities and start making her think that black men, again, want white women. But that's not the case at all. In most cases, black men will pretty much pursue relationships with whoever they want to pursue with, and the first person to approach them usually is the one who pretty much gets more of a chance of a relationship than the guy who goes out looking to chase females. And that's just how it is. But you just can't tell this black female this, because she has it wired hard in her head that black men want white women. Black men, again, don't want white women like that. We're not fiending for them like that. We do not deify this white woman in most cases like this black female deifies this white man. And in most cases, most black men are like this. Whoever comes to them first gets served first, and if everything works out, that's the person they're going to have a relationship with. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe.